Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to Unacademy. This is Success Sampath interacting with you. Do you want to become IAS, IPS, IFS, IRS? We Unacademy waiting for you with top educators and meticulously designed quality content. Once you enroll in Unacademy, you will undergo a great learning experience. Yeah, welcome Bobby and Mr. Siddharth, everyone, and welcome everybody. Yes, and what is this? You know very well, Unacademy, India's largest and the best online education platform. Once you get Plus subscription, you'll have unlimited access to the live and recorded courses, especially from India's best educators. What are all the benefits you are likely to get once you enroll yourself in Unacademy? Ladies and gentlemen, you got daily live classes, you can chat with your educator, you can engage in all-round discussions, especially productive discussions, and you can ask all your genuine doubts, and you can participate in the answer polls. All these things you can do while sessions going on. And you got structured courses in alignment with the syllabus and pattern of examination so that you never get deviated. And it's not knowing the stuff, knowing to deliver the stuff. You know well, delivery matters. For that purpose, we evaluate your preparation in various stages, especially through regular mock tests, quiz programs. You get detailed analysis, detailed report where you are strong, where you are weak. So it's not only that, the time you took in solving a question, everything matters. And as I told you, once you enroll yourself, you get, unlimited live and recorded videos. Especially, you can learn from anywhere, anytime, according to your availability of the devices, whether it is mobile phone, laptop, even desktop. Yes. And for that, what you have to do, gentlemen, ladies and gentlemen, please download Unacademy Learning app immediately. Whether it is Android, iOS, once you download, you will start availing the benefits. Right. Who is this Success Sampath interacting with you? Yes, I am from Chennai. This Success Sampath has got a unique experience of getting exposed to the field of engineering, management and legal education. With 25 years of experience in coaching, especially the UPSC Civil Services Examination aspirants, I could witness the results of 250 plus as IAS, IPS, IRS, IFS officials working in different parts of India and abroad as well. My vision is to provide career solution by enabling youths, especially Indian youths, to start with, later to embrace the global level, same purpose. Fortunately, it's coinciding with Unacademy's vision. We are working together to shape you so that you realize your dream, and you can reach me in Telegram, especially mention link, and Unacademy, where you go for Sampath or Sampath Thiruvengadam, Success Sampath. Even in the YouTube channel as Success Sampath, you can reach me to get more details. Yes, it's not only me, Sampath, in front of you. We've got that a team of top educators waiting for there in Unacademy to support you. And once you enroll for UPSC Civil Service Examination, you got more than 15,000 courses, modules, subject-specific modules, or even time duration specific modules. And it's not only that, in UPSC Civil Service Examination, we've got the major plans. The plans in terms of that Plus as well as Iconic program. Once you enroll the Plus program, you got live classes, test series, unlimited practices, test schedules, and personalized coach. But I'll be recommending more than this Plus Coach Iconic program, because it's once you're becoming officer, you're going to be part of the career for the 25 to 30 years of a wonderful career, especially. So that demands your minimum 2 years of devotion, right? So what is this Iconic program? If you ask me, it's more than Plus with personalized coach. That's what the purpose. Whether it is Plus or Iconic program, use my referral code SUCCESS to avail the 10% discount, right? And the Iconic program, it's more than Plus. where you got personalized mentor to understand your nature, to suggest, study planner, and to give you personalized feedback. So it's more than plus program, and Iconic is more preferable. You please go for this program using my referral code success once again, and you can avail discount the 10% accordingly. Yes. Ladies and gentlemen, the very purpose of our interaction today. In UPSC Civil Services Examination, you got variety of optionals. One of the popular optional subjects, say sociology, which is highly scoring, and it's quite interesting. I think I'm qualified enough to speak about that because I could score very good marks. Not only myself, even my students, could score wonderful marks. They are into the service now. Right. What is the basis for this particular, the subject matter sociology to understand and to score more, if you ask me? Understanding the basic concepts is the basis. That's very important. It is almost like foundation of a building. Only when you understand the basic concepts, you can understand the perspectives, and you can understand then only the questions asked in the main examination. And sociology has got its own, other benefits also. Your score in essay, your score in GS portions, especially ethics also, even society portion of the paper 2, of course paper 1. So you've got, that various advantages because of this optional subject. So for that particular purpose, my fundamental, the step in the direction of making you understand the basic concepts, we have already dealt a couple of concepts to begin with, especially yesterday. You can watch those videos already available in the YouTube. Right, today, the purpose, the basic concepts part 2, where we are going to discuss culture and associated concepts. Yesterday we were talking about society. Society is nothing but a system of social relationship. It is not, that mere the relationship between two individuals. It's more than that. The network of relationships. I said social. It's not this or that. Variety of relationships taken together: marital, familial, kinship, educational, economic, political, religious, and your identity-based social stratification. Then how these relationships undergoing change structurally, culturally, functionally. That's what called social change. So sociology is all about studying about society. The society is all about a system or network of social relationship. But that particular society has got a blueprint that's called culture. And today our discussion is going to be centered around this culture, a blueprint of society. It's otherwise called way of life, style of life. And we are going to witness, this is what the content, the culture and its formal definition, whether the culture you get by birth or you learn, how the culture enjoys, relationship with the individual. As an individual, in what way you are related with culture, and how do you acquire that particular culture, the process from the society, how the culture is different from social, the very civilization, because we interchangeably utilize in our day-to-day common parlance. I think it is right time, you have to attack that myth or confusion surrounding that. And you would have heard about the terms like cultural lag, and culture is said to be lagging behind civilization, or the change in culture. And what about subculture, dominant culture, contra culture, ethnocentrism, xenocentrism, cultural relativism? Should we evaluate culture? Who are you to evaluate? Who gave you authority? What are all the parameters based on that which you start evaluating culture? If that is the case, is it time tested? Then what should I do, sir? So all these things centered around the very concept called culture we are discussing, ladies and gentlemen. Yes, Mr. Siddharth, I'll be, every day you can meet me in the YouTube channel. I understand your need. We'll be meeting every day. Yes. And yeah, this is, that the content of our discussion today. I think, let's begin. Right. What is culture? Just now I spoke. It's a way of life, style of life. How to behave in a particular occasion, how to think, how to describe a person or thing, the way with which you act, even the material objects, they are representing the culture you belong. Of course, it's going to be civilization when you talk about material objects. Right. So it is that way. This is what, that if at all that particular point is missing, and you may be valued low in the eyes of the society, because otherwise people's expectation, when you occupy a particular status, people expect that particular the set of things, set of behaviors. If it is not happening, it's unbecoming on the part of you. There ultimately society trained you in various ways from that young age. It's a cradle to grave process. Even on the day of death, we are going to learn something. It's never-ending phenomenon. We learn, we unlearn, we relearn. That's a process. It is through which we get the culture. Then ultimately you know how to behave, how to speak, how to dress, how to eat. Because the society taught you in such a way. This is what all about the culture. So it's a way of life. It's your style of life. It is otherwise said to be the blueprint of the society. Ladies and gentlemen, the culture is the blueprint of the society. If you ask me the very formal definition, what is that? I think E.B. Taylor, the right person, the patterns of culture, where he mentioned about this definition. Culture is a whole complex which includes everything: knowledge, art, belief, even the language, literature, you got morals, custom, any other capabilities and habits acquired by man or women even as a member of the society. As a member of the society, what are all the things you acquire? It is not innate, it is not inborn, something you acquire, the abilities, the capabilities. So all these things, that put together called, culture. This is what the original definition. And if you want to know more about this, we are taking you to the next level. As I said, it is learned. When you are born, you are just yet another animal, a flesh with blood. Ultimately, people touch you, touch at your back, and ultimately you start weeping, man, oh, it's alive. People come to know. Then after that, that even, after that, people naming you, and they will initiate you. Then you start saying, mummy, daddy, amma, appa, what may be the language? You start imitating from your immediate neighborhood. Of course, your family, your parents, and then in schools, your peers, then educational institutions, then various institutions ultimately influencing you so that you will learn. Because you are not born with culture. It is something which you acquired. It is not inborn. It is not innate. Because when you are born, you are animal. That's why Aristotle said man is a social animal. That's social, the various aspects of the society. That's why you got various social institutions to cater all your social needs. Through various social institutions, you learn, you acquire. How? The process, as I said, Tottil Palakkam Sudugadu Mattil. In Tamil, there is a saying, it is cradle to grave process, lifelong process. The process is called, common parlance, it's called brought up. In sociology, it's called socialization. So culture you acquire in your lifetime, especially through the process called socialization, or in common parlance, it's called brought up. Yes, let's go next level. This is what we spoke so far. Culture at the level of society comes to an individual. How? Through the process called socialization. For your kind information, ladies and gentlemen, the socialization or brought up, what you call, is a combination of two other processes. As I said, the various agents of socialization. Charity begins at home, we say. It's from your family you start learning. So the family is the first institution. Then ultimately your friendship group, same age group, peer group. Then you go to all education institutions, schools, colleges. Then your official environment, even your gated community, your neighborhood, of course. Then ultimately, that the very political institution, even the very role played by media, especially social media. We call even WhatsApp University. You learn a lot of things nowadays. Right. It is that way, that you are socialized. You are institutionalized. You are taught. Ultimately, you take in. Yes, boss. Yes, madam, I learned from you. You internalize. You are taught by the society, top-down approach. You take in, you internalize. It is bottom-up approach. Both institutionalization and internalization. What institutionalization at the societal level is internalization at the individual level. Both put together. It's not one way. Kadai virithen kolvarillai. It's not I'm coming and speaking, nobody is there, nobody is listening. It's not like that. So society teaches you, you also participate, you also take in, you internalize, both put together called socialization. So the culture at the level of the society, which is the blueprint of the society, comes to an individual through the process called socialization, which is said to be the combination of both institutionalization and internalization. Let me tell you once again, this socialization is a lifelong process, cradle to grave process. Ladies and gentlemen, sir, please tell me which book should I refer for sociology mains. I think you can go through my another video, it's already available. The grand strategy I've shared with a list of books. I think it's Ruqayya Akbar. Yeah, you can please watch that video. You can get more details. If not, you can also reach me in Telegram or social network. Ladies and gentlemen, this is Success Sampath interacting with you. Yes, let's go to the next level. Yeah, we said socialization. It's a process through which you acquire the culture of the society. There is a fundamental difference between we human society on the one hand and animal society on the other. What is that? No doubt culture. And you got all your needs. You know how to fulfill your needs. That is why we have got various social institutions. But whereas animal, you know what, on the roadside you would have witnessed the cattle. It's not waiting. Even the elephant, roaming elements, stray dogs, stray cattle. They don't have rules and regulations or norms. Nobody is there to govern them. Probably they are afraid of your beating. They straight away, whenever they the cattle happen to see, that grass, ultimately it starts. Any food items, it won't ask your permission. Yes, sir, ladies and gentlemen, can I take a little bit? No, they are not trained. But of course, sometimes you see different scenario, more than animal, more than human beings, animals are well disciplined, you see. And that's totally different scenario. We are not bringing, that's a challenge. But here, the culture is the basic difference between we human society on the one hand, animal society on the other. Why? Because when you have culture, you are brought up in such a way, you internalize the value system in such a way, you know how to behave in a particular occasion. You got modality, you got code of conduct, you got a process. But as an individual, just now we spoke, that particular culture you got through socialization, which is a combination of two other processes, institutionalization, internalization. How it happened at the society level, various agents. Here is you begin with your parents. Kids would have watched TV, the value system parallelly. But sometimes we have to warn the kids not to watch, even playing video games. Recently government banned some Chinese apps, even the PUBG, the story. The aggressiveness with which kids, the passion with which they play, all those gadgets, sometimes they forget the value system. These are all the challenges today we are talking about. The speed thrills but kills, we say. All these things we are talking about, it is not vegam, vivegam. You should know the purpose, all those stuff we are talking about, whatever may be. So the very school teaches you, educational institutions, religion, various institutions, and beyond that I said social network, your social network. So it is through which what you learn, your character is fixed, your personality is born. If at all you say, sir, this is what my personality, it is byproduct of your socialization, ladies and gentlemen. It is byproduct of your brought up, like mother, like daughter. Birds of the same feather flock together. You would have heard all these sayings. You are byproduct of your brought up. You are byproduct of your socialization. So all these things, we speak in such a way. And yeah, what is culture? Sir, the people are also talking about, are you civilized? The civilized manner with which you are supposed to behave in a particular occasion. Sir, then what is culture? There comes another question. When we say culture, it has got two aspects actually, material aspects, non-material aspects. The material aspect of the culture is said to be civilization. That is what? Civilization is also part and parcel of the culture. See, in culture, you talk about, the thing comes to your mind, ideas, belief, value system, faith. But civilization is also part of the culture, representing material aspect of the culture, the concrete items. Your iPhone, your laptop, your Rolls Royce, maybe your chartered flight. maybe the very posh villa you own. See, all these things, we talk about the representing material aspects of the culture. So it is called civilization. You can speak about development, enhancement, advancement in civilization, not in the very culture. The idea even today is called idea, but idea may vary from place to place, time to time. That's totally different scenario. In spite of that, it's called idea. But civilization is part of the culture representing the material aspect. So civilization is also culture representing material aspect of the culture. But there is always a gap between culture and civilization. That is why it's said to be another concept called cultural lag, according to Ogben and Nimka, you will come to know. Otherwise, culture is said to be lagging behind civilization. The idea of living, even today living, but how do you live? Keep on changing, keep on enhancing. Otherwise, people say we are simply complicating things, complicating life. Whether it is Rolls Royce, even just the Santro, you got four wheels. But the value we attach, it is totally different. That goes with the individual's choice, lifestyle. How do you view life? That's totally different. Transportation, even today it is transportation. By what means? Totally different. Idea of writing, even today is writing. But nowadays, you know that we are completely switched to the technology. It's totally different scenario. Over the days, it is SMS messaging. It is that way. But idea of communication stays. Forget about that. How do you communicate? Varies. So all these things, the idea stays same, culture stays same. Culture appears as if it's behind the civilization. That's why the notion cultural log. I think, we are going to elaborate further the very concept. Let's come back here. Just now, I said cultural lag. The culture has got two aspects, non-material, material. Non-material aspect of the culture is called the real culture. That's otherwise called abstract, intangible. You are bound by that. You can't sense, you can't quantify it. You can't ask, sir, can you please give me some 100 grams of your passion in learning? Sir, can you please give me 100% of your passion in serving people? No, it's not possible. It's not quantifiable items, right? But that's why it's called abstract, intangible. But whereas material aspect of the culture, we spoke just now, concrete, tangible items. So when you say culture, you got two aspects. The material aspect of the culture is civilization. But where civilization, we are talking about advancement, enhancement, not in culture. That's why it appears culture is said to be lagging behind civilization. Otherwise, let's speak this way. In your day-to-day life, people say, see, the world is running after money, the material resources. People with material resources are respected, not the value system. Otherwise, economic development compromising social development, economic development compromising environmental standards, economic development, compromising the very value system. Otherwise, you call eroding value system. So people forget in pursuit of the economic development, the very core idea of living. Education without value system, science without humanity, one of the seven sins according to Mahatma Gandhi ji. You come to know the very purpose we forget ultimately. In our hastiness, we forget the purpose, the value system, the idea, the belief, the faith pattern. That is culture. So culture appears said to be lagging behind civilization. For your kind information, ladies and gentlemen, let's move to next level. But this culture is not fixed. It's keep on changing. Otherwise, you can't say this is absolutely right culture, this is absolutely wrong culture. You can't. Culture varies from place to place, time to time. Say in Hinduism, you worship cow on the Lord Shiva, especially his Vagana. You say the Pradosham, you might be aware. But for a pious Muslim, on the day of Bagrid, the Gurbani you talk about, they share, they eat, happily. They share the very beef items. Otherwise, the very biryani when they make, the smell spreads to a particular distance. Till that distance, you have to share that biryani. And they're fond of eating, that beef. You got controversy centered around beef eating practice, all those stuff. What is right in one religion becomes wrong. Say even Hindu culture, of course, cross cousin marriages. Whereas in Islam, parallel cousin marriages. What is right in one religion becomes wrong. What is right in one place becomes wrong. Say, for example, in India, collectivism is the core principle. Spiritualism is the core principle. We are always preparing ourselves for the otherworldly life. We forget this world. But whereas with Western society, which is completely running after the notion called materialism, individualism, individual achievement. So see the value system. It is not, the moment you go to Western system, it is not evaluating Western world from Indian value system or Eastern value or Oriental countries value. That's wrong. Otherwise, the Westerners should not enter India, should not say these poor guys. No. Priority differs, importance differs. You decide ultimately what you want, right? That varies from place to place, time. Yes. What about time? Once upon a time, the earth was considered as the center of the solar system. But over the days, what happened? It is not, that the earth, ultimately, that the sun is the center of solar system. From geocentric theory to, solar centric, heliocentric theory. In a time, for every thesis, you got antithesis, then synthesis. This is what Hegelian version. The idea is not constant. So culture is not fixed. Otherwise, you cannot evaluate culture. You should not say it is right culture, wrong culture. That varies from place to place, time to time. That's what we say. Culture changes, varies spatially, temporally. See, only a few years back, the Saudi Arabia allowed its own women to drive the car, gave driving license. And there were a lot of softwares from United States of America were banned because their packages that had some documents about women empowerment. Saudi Arabia banned those hardware softwares from United States of America because of that particular thing that goes against the culture. Do you understand? What is right in USA becomes wrong. It is that way. So for your kind information, culture is not fixed. You can never speak about right culture, wrong culture. Rather, the particular context decides. It is context specificity we call. If you want to evaluate Indians, you have to evaluate an Indian value system, Indian tradition, the established principles of the India, the principles that shaped this nation. Then it becomes the right context for your kind information, right? That's what we are going to talk in later concepts. Yes. When you talk about culture, say for example, Indian culture, what are all the things coming to your mind, ladies and gentlemen? I think some other people also join. Welcome Nitya, welcome Vaibhav, Chaudhary, welcome Prakash. Please share minimum materials for sociology optional. Ladies and gentlemen, sir, I've already shared the that list of resources to be consulted. Otherwise, you just watch my classes, you will get the understanding. Well began is off done, then 60% of the problems over. If you understood my concepts in the classroom, then you have to just refer. That's all needed. And you please follow all the classes. You please go through the previous lesson also. There, the list is available. If you got any queries, you can type on the YouTube, the channel. I'm there to answer your question, ladies and gentlemen. Yes, when you talk about, Indian culture, what are all the things coming to your mind? India, the land of unity in diversity, cultural pluralism, melting pot. You call, na? India, in terms of language, you speak about Tamil culture, Malayali culture, Telugu culture, Kannada culture, maybe the linguistic, the Hindi culture, Gujarati culture, Marathi culture. In terms of religion, Hindu culture, Islam culture, Christian culture, Sikh culture, Buddhist culture, Jain culture. The identity based, you can go for, you got variety of cultures. But in spite of that, in spite of those differences, diversities, we live together with a common feeling within the community called India as Indians. We got our own common feeling. So it's not only that, that you got variety of cultures. Maybe if you speak negativity, the challenges in front of, India, maybe the poverty, the gender injustice or unemployment or widening social inequality or sexual assault on women or centrifugal tendencies like, Naxalism, even the Northeastern insurgency or religious fundamentalism or forced religious conversion or majoritarianism, whatever may be. So all these things are put together. This is what India. It is not evaluating. Don't become judgmental. But each and every element what I spoke, but the proportion vary. It's not speaking about, that what constitutes majority here in India. If you ask me, the dominant culture, if you ask me, that's unity in diversity. In India, in Indian culture, maybe Tamil culture is a subculture in terms of language. You know that the Hindu culture is a subculture in terms of language, but Hindu culture in terms of religion, it's a majority culture. That's totally different scenario. There comes a responsibility also to protect our minorities. That's why it is inclusive governance. We take in, we treat them, no doubt at all. Right? It is that way we are working together. Yes, when you talk about Indian culture, you got variety of cultures. The Indian culture as a whole has got various units, various parts. Each and every culture called the part, the unit is called as subculture of the whole culture called Indian culture. But whereas when you talk about, the dominant culture, the major culture in India, that is unity in diversity. If you ask me, subculture, maybe Gujarati culture, subculture, Hindu culture, subculture, maybe identity based. So when you talk about culture, you got subcultures. And maybe among all these subcultures, one particular subculture may be predominant one. Widely practiced, widely embraced. That's why it's called dominant culture, main culture. It is that way. Yes. But, among cultures, there are differences. As I gave you the list, the negativity, of course, the challenges in front of India, all these, challenges. They are different culture, but they are challenging the main dominant culture, the unity and integrity of the nation, the peaceful, amicable living of Indians, affecting law and order scenario. Then the situation becomes, ripe for imposition of Article 356. Otherwise, when there is chaos, when there is absence of peace, it may have its own impact on economic development. It affects fundamental needs of the people. And it becomes, the vicious circle of poverty. Well, the peace is a prerequisite for prosperity, ladies and gentlemen. So all these challenges ultimately, that challenging, that otherwise questioning, threatening the very fabric of the nation called unity in diversity, the peaceful, amicable living. What are all those? The casteism, communalism, religious fundamentalism, Naxalism. When the development becomes agenda, sometimes, that overdevelopment, the development pushing the people to poverty, Naxalism, you will come to know. The linguistic chauvinism, you feel proud about your own culture, your own language. Language is the vehicle of the culture. Nothing wrong in feeling proud about your culture, that your proudness and your superiority should not go against other cultures. There comes the issue. You got your own fundamental right, fundamental freedom. But that should not be at the cost of somebody else. There comes your responsibility. Fundamental rights, even in the constitution, you got fundamental rights. You got fundamental duties also. Rights and duties go together. If you don't discharge your duties, you don't have right to exercise. It is that way we are talking about. Yes. So the poverty, yes. The widening social inequality. With more power comes more responsibility. So that's why corporate social responsibility, scientific social responsibility. The government is trying very hard to address this. But the challenges, recently COVID worsening the scenario, the government trying hard. They've got a lot of problems and they have to fix this also. There comes ultimately affecting livelihood. Apart from loss of livelihood, that's what the COVID we are talking about. That it's between life and livelihood we are talking about. Even the lockdown, and that's a matter of criticism we are talking about. Everything. So the female infanticide, the female kids are not preferred, given, that the security, the safety, that sexual assault on women, the gender injustice, various case studies. See, and our education level gone, but the mentality is not yet. There is a gap between ethics and law. There is a gap between ethics and education we are talking about. But of course, it's totally different. So all these, for example, I'm talking about all these challenges, the counter or contra cultures. It is that way we are talking about. I think it is right time. Let's switch over. Yeah. So what do you say, sir? You should not evaluate other culture. Yeah, you have to accept. People say, religious intolerance. Accept. If you don't accept, it leads to intolerance. Who asked you to not to accept? If you accept, then it becomes, that ultimately, the moment you accept, it's celebration, happiness. Then you start contributing. If you don't accept, it is intolerance, tension, pressure. So accept as it is, as they are. Don't expect how the people should be. The moment you start expecting the disappointments ultimately, then ultimately, that all round issues. So this is what. So in sociology, you got a core concept called objectivity. See as it is, accept as it is. Don't expect how it should be. Don't recommend how it should be. Probably what you recommend, others may not accept, others may not honor. This objectivity, the core principle, you can witness in another concept called cultural relativism. Before going there, we have to discuss this. What is this? Ethnocentrism. You know what is ethnicity? Ethnicity is all about, that your race plus culture. You know what is race? The race is all about categorizing people based on biological features. You talk about Caucasoids, Negroids, Mongoloids, the body type, the hair, the thick, that lips, and the nose ultimately, the complexion, even the eye color you're talking about. You take into account all those biological attributes to categorize people, accordingly race. Even Ramachandra Guha talking about the 6 types of race in India, and the major races. But when you mix the race with culture, it becomes ethnicity. You should not say Sri Lankan Tamil ethnic issue. The moment you say ethnicity, the ethnicity as a notion has got both race and culture. In culture, you got language already part of it. Because language is the vehicle of the culture. It is very wrong to say Sri Lankan Tamil ethnic issue. People say socio-economic problem. In sociology, you should not say like that. Social problem. Because when you say social, it's a broad term, comprehensive term, encompassing variety of institutions, variety of aspects of society. Say, when you say social, it is marital, familial, your relationship, kinship, your educational, economic, political, religious, the same way. It becomes wrong. The same way, when you say ethnicity, ethnicity means race plus culture. You add social dimension to the biological attributes. This ethnicity, see, you speak in favor of your own ethnicity. In that process, you don't understand. Sometimes you forget, you belittle others. Even we say, I'm from Tamil Nadu, you know well, by the time you would have understood. Tamilenendru sollada, thalai nimirந்து nillada. Sandosham, happy, you feel proud about, that you are from Tamil Nadu. But when there are other people from other states sitting next to you, Keralites, Telugu people, and that the very Hindi speaking people, will you say you feel proud that you are Tamilian? What about others? There comes your responsibility in that particular fora. In the process of speaking, proud elements about your culture, don't you belittle others? So you have to understand that nuances. There comes culture. Tamil has got its own, the classical attributes, no doubt, and they will also endorse that, no doubt. Because of its oldness, because of the classical language status, all those stuffs, the rich literature, no doubt. At the same time, the way with which you speak in such a way, they should get interested in that particular language. They should be part of it. It's not belittling them so that they start hating your language. This is what people forget everywhere. So, and also, it is not forcing someone else to learn a particular language. That is also bad. We are talking about, so there comes neutrality. Neutrality doesn't mean that inaction. You should understand what it is, you have to behave accordingly. So the point is that ethnocentrism is all about your ethnicity centered behavior. It is will to one's own culture, not wills, cigarette, not wills. People confuse. It is will to one's own culture, ill to others. Feel proud, nothing wrong. Don't belittle other cultures. Ethnocentrism is all about, that feel proud about your culture, will to one's own culture. In that pursuit, you should not belittle others. It should not become ill to others. If you do that, it is ethnocentrism. Xenocentrism, just opposite concept. It is foreign-centric evaluation. You treat, that foreign elements. You give, as I said, Rolls-Royce. German machine, Japanese technology, Korean technology. Then you say, hey machan, hey sala, this is local here. Huh? This attitude. You belittle your native indigenous culture, but you feel proud about your foreign culture. You give priority to the foreign. Even Indian independence, the time people were our own intellectuals, Indian in blood, European in thought. They were the westernization, of course. So even during those times, people thought, that the British people doing good to India. They weren't in a position to understand the exploitative measures. Such is the scenario. You always segappa irukkravan poi solla maatan. In Tamil, other language people, please understand. A guy who is fair will never lie. How come? How come you can relate your honesty with the so-called the complexion? Otherwise, you cannot link all criminals with of course the black community. That's what happening. The United States of America, the racism. The George Floyd, I can't breathe. What happened? Now it's going to have impact on the US elections. So the xenocentrism, you give that importance, the superior position to foreign culture. In that process, you belittle native cultures. You should not do that also. So what is this, sir? Ethnocentrism or xenocentrism? It's all about the tendency to evaluate one's own culture. The attitude while evaluating culture. It should not be ethnocentric. It should not be xenocentric. Otherwise, that Swadeshi, be Indian, buy Indian. Today, we are be Indian, buy foreign goods. Even globalization facilitating. We got reduced to mere consumers. Our R&D weak. That's why government is working very hard in terms of skill enablement, strengthening manufacturing sector, so that that our manufacturing sectors becoming very strong. You don't need to import. You start exporting. It becomes export-driven economy then. But Videshi, xenocentric. Be Indian, buy foreign goods. So we are totally different. We are neither Swadeshi nor Videshi. We are Pardeshi. Utter confused. It is that way. Please have clarity. And I think you think over it. You will come to know. Yes, sir, you say ethnocentrism is wrong. Xenocentrism is wrong. What should I do, sir? What you are coming to say, sir? Yes. What I am telling, who are you to evaluate culture? First of all, don't evaluate. Don't become judgmental. If you are evaluating a culture, on what standards? Who gave you authority? What are all the parameters? Are they time tested? Spatially or temporally? Are they right? So, what is right is decided by the context. Say, let's bring in here Albert Einstein. Well, it is he who spoke a theory of relativity. If I'm asking you, are you sitting? Are you at rest in front of me, ladies and gentlemen? Yes, sir, I'm sitting. I'm at rest. For your kind information, you are sitting on a chair. You are sitting on Earth, the planet of Earth, the very planet itself rotating as well as revolving. This rotating as well as revolving. Now, can you say, sir, I'm at rest? Not at all. Because that whenever you say I'm at rest or I'm on move, that ultimately demands a frame of reference. The frame of reference, that. So otherwise you can say, sir, I'm at rest in comparison to that of the rotating blades, the rotating, blades of the fan above my head. Yes, it is that way. I think, we are talking about that. So, you need frame of reference. Without frame of reference, you can never speak about, this cultural relativism principle. So, evaluation of culture also demands frame of reference. On what context? See, in my experience, in my childhood, that happened. Not childhood, school days, that there is caste-based conflict in my village, and also even within a caste, and two groups fighting in my village. I witnessed personally. I was doing my engineering course that time, and my relatives asking, come on, you fight, participate. You are simply watching, mute spectator. You have to participate now. I was doing engineering that time. I made up my mind to become, that civil servant of India, later to be a global leader. That's totally different scenario. And when you went to visit that village, your relative is asking you to participate in the local fight. Will you participate? Your culture says what this country brutes, but they are fighting for dominance in that particular region. But frankly speaking, they are all relatives of same caste people. See, you are not participating, you are not fighting for, why should I fight? Another section of the population, they are also my relatives. So that immaturity, because it's very natural, their ignorance, that maybe the exposure is less. They think that's the world where they have to prove who is dominant, who is superior. But same thing is happening at the global level. That's totally different scenario. That's what I say. Love leads to peace. Love leads to acceptance. Love leads to happiness. Love leads to celebration. If you don't love people, if you don't accept people, then you have to tolerate, accommodation. Then that leads to all-round, evaluation. You will be waiting for opportunity to criticize someone. Accept people as they are. So that is the point. So they don't accept each other. Ultimately, they are entering into fight, leading to violence, bloodshed, police cases, law and order scenario, and there will be camp like Cold War. We are talking about international relation, Cold War between the USA and USSR. It happens between two factions of the same village. That's very bad. But when these two people, when they go to some cities, they interact, they embrace, they celebrate together. But when they come to village, they'll show this. Oh my God. So all these things are happening, that such is the situation. And moreover, they expect you to participate. Same thing happening today at the political parties level, religions level. You have to understand the contextuality. So it is not evaluating what is right, what is wrong. The particular context decides. Of course, I thought that way, but as long as they are into that village, they will always think like that. Once they come out of the village, they will have broad views, broad spectrum in life. So many beautiful things in the world for amicable living. Then they will forget this local petty politics. They will start embracing global standards or national standards. How to live happily by contributing. In what way I can help you? Instead of in what way I can put you down, I start thinking this way. What way I can help you so that you move to the next level? These are all the things we are talking about. Day-to-day activity, we are witnessing all these things. In your family level, in your community level, or gated community level, relatives level, the rural, urban, local bodies level, political parties level, organization level, national level. Only the theater changes, the same drama. Why? The lack of clarity. What is that lack of clarity? See, you have what the context says, what is right in one particular occasion may not be wrong. May be wrong in another occasion. What is right in one place is wrong in another place. It is that way. So context decides what is right, what is wrong. That is why we are talking about. So this is otherwise called objectivity. What I said, my village incident, subjectivity. I became objective. But they were subjective. They got influenced. Lack of emotional intelligence. I practiced emotional intelligence. I could save myself. But today they appreciate me. It's a good thing you went out of village. You accomplished something, they say. But people who participated still in the fighting mode. It's not only one particular village. In everywhere. This is a message to all the villages, rural communities. Come out of that petty politics. Embrace the national standards. Be broad-minded. It is that way. For that, you have to understand objectivity. Value neutrality. You got another concept, and we'll be discussing in Max Weber. That's totally different scenario. This is talking about objectivity. Is all about see as it is. See as it is. Accept as they are. Don't expect how they should be. The moment you start expecting, that leads to disappointment. Then ultimately you start hating people. Situation may not be always as you like, as you expect. This is what the core principle of sociology, that I am spending more time on this, because objectivity is a core principle. Each and every sociologist, anyway, you are opting sociology, you are not sociologist, but the point is, the objectivity is the byproduct of this sociological understanding. You start seeing two sides of a single coin. Then finally, you have to take decision in different scenario. That's totally different scenario. But here in sociology, you try to understand through various perspectives. You make study over society. You make generalization, your duty over. Even sociologists, they make generalizations. That's all. There are so many people waiting to utilize that particular report. Why? Because sociological report, because of this principle, it is very objective, value neutral, scientific study. They understand in a holistic perspective of life. They take into account various aspects of the society. That's why the study is also called integrated study. It is that way. It is because of that the sociological report is valued high. Even Dr. Ambedkar, that who studied the very sociology prior to the introduction of that particular subject matter in India, we come to know. His sociological knowledge benefited the drafting of the constitution. So why? It is, you see that you would never become emotional. You never take sides. You be well balanced. This objectivity. So whatever may be the issue, understand the context. You don't know what others are undergoing. It is not simply becoming judgmental. So that is what I said in the beginning, right? If spiritualism is the core principle of India, materialism is the core principle of the Western world. Of course, Swami Vivekananda, we recently witnessed his day, and who gave the Chicago Parliament, the Parliament of Religions, very well. The brothers and sisters, the very speech ultimately. And that he introduced the Indian value systems to the Western world. And also he appreciated, the Western value system, the scientific temperament, respecting women. And he became bridge between, that India and the Western world. It is that way. See, as a person, you should try to connect people, connect things, not a divisive factor. As Mark Zuckerberg did, that connecting world has become very open, connected people. But he is also not free from criticism on other counts that he has to face. That's totally different scenario. So the value system of India, spiritualism, collectivism, whereas in the Western world, individualism, achievement, materialism. In Tamil we say, Ellam vachirikavan dhaan periyal. One who accumulates more is respected high in the Western world. One who gave up everything is appreciated in the Eastern world, Eastern Oriental culture, India. One who gave up everything, renunciation, give up everything. You came with nothing, you go with nothing. All these principles, I think, your own family members, elder people, your friends, speaking all these things. I'm not speaking anything new to you. But you need this perspective to understand, right? So, cultural relativism says, if you want to understand, if you want to evaluate a particular culture, you try to evaluate in its own context. If you want to evaluate the Indian culture, you have to understand the value system of India. In that context, you have to evaluate. Otherwise, it becomes wrong. The individualism, collectivism, whatever may be. So, cultural relativism is all about the objectivity principle, seeing the two sides of a single coin, ladies and gentlemen. So, see the diagram here. Of course, on the beach, the bikini dress, that. So, you just imagine a pious lady from Islam community, it is not both becoming judgmental. They've got their own version. They've got their own, participation in a particular belief system, value system. It is not one judging another. So, it is that way. That is the reason. So, you take that way. So, don't be judgmental. Even while seeing this diagram, you should not become judgmental. It communicates message to you for your information, ladies and gentlemen. It is that way. Go to the point. I think, that's more appropriate we are talking about. Yes. And someone has asked, that I think the Prakash Vangte and in today's, the discussion, especially we took you to the level of, the very basic concepts. The basic concepts, especially, it is second part actually. The previous part we spoke about society, community, social group. Even in the previous session, I spoke about society, people who did not attend that. And then in society, you got within that community. In community within that, you got social group. That social group may be that charity begins at home. Your primary group, family. Then your secondary group, your membership in a particular association, then your gated community. So it is that way. So this is society, this is community, this is your social group we are talking about. Ladies and gentlemen, yesterday I did not summarize, probably you can get idea, you can go through. So there is only one society. You can have many more communities within a society. You can have many more social groups within a community. You can have many more, otherwise let me speak this way. The whole human society capable of accommodating many nation states. That's why you got 190 plus nations called communities. A nation can have many more political parties called tertiary groups. A nation can have many more families called primary social groups. A nation can have many more Trade unions, associations, secondary social group. So society, there is only one society, but you can have many communities within that. But within a community, you can have many more social groups, and that may be primary, secondary, tertiary. This is a relationship. And apart from that, you got other concepts also. The concepts I am talking about, the social category. The social category, it is categorization of people. I'm talking about the categorization may be based on particular criteria. Maybe as you speak, doctor, engineer. It's a professional categories we are talking about. It is that way based on your education. Sometimes the social categories. Sometimes you got other terms, miscellaneous terms that I did not deal yesterday, because you can. Otherwise, if you don't understand, also you can type your question. Let me answer you. Otherwise, it's available. That is the reason we expect you to touch dictionaries. If in English, if you don't if you don't know the meaning of a particular term, you should not hesitate to open the dictionary, whether it is Oxford Advanced Learners Dictionary, whatever may be. But today you are living with Internet of Things, right? You got the world, Karlo Dunia Muthi Main, the world in your palm, of course. You can immediately Google it and know. So the same way in sociology, you got key terms, art words, and where you get sociological perspective, basics dictionary will be William P. Scott. That's appropriate. And even if you go for Oxford, Penguin, nothing wrong, other dictionaries. But this is advanced, Duncan Mitchell. The T.B. Baltimore or Duncan Mitchell will be very quintessentials of information. To understand that, you should have base. So any one of the dictionaries you go for, please to understand, better. I think, this is appropriate, ladies and gentlemen. And so far what we spoke, it is about culture. Let me repeat once again. The culture is a way of life, style of life. It's a blueprint of the society. You are not born with culture. It is not innate, inborn. Rather, you acquire that culture through the process called socialization in your lifetime. The socialization is otherwise brought up. It's a combination of institutionalization. You are taught by various institutions of society, various agents of society. You took in, you internalize. Yes, boss. So institutionalization, top down, internalization, bottom up approach. You participate and learn, both put together in the socialization, which is said to be lifelong, cradle to grave process. எந்த குழந்தையும் நல்ல குழந்தைதான் இந்த மண்ணில் பிறக்கையிலே, பின்பு நல்லவராவதும் தீயவராவதும் அன்னை வளர்ப்பினிலே. அன்னை, அம்மா. I couldn't speak words in Tamil. What is the point? When you are born, you are very good, wonderful person. Later, whether you are adding value to the society or dishonoring society or degrading society, it's totally depending on your socialization, which is in turn institutionalization and internalization, for your kind information. So the cradle to grave process, if you say this is your personality, this is your character, it is byproduct of your brought up or socialization. The culture varies, it is not fixed, keep on changing, where. There is no right culture, wrong culture. We also spoke about the very, subculture, part of the main culture, and even dominant culture in India, unity and diversity. But some subcultures challenging the very dominant culture called counter or contra cultures. And you should not be ethnocentric or xenocentric. You are supposed to be a cultural relativist. What is the meaning ultimately? Don't evaluate. If at all you are evaluating, evaluate in its own context. That's the point. That's the core idea. Because that is the essence of, objectivity, the core principle of sociology. Ladies and gentlemen, I think with this, that let's wind up the session, and we'll be meeting tomorrow the same time. Yes, and you can go for this dictionary, and let me repeat once again. And this is Success Sampath, so far interacted with you. All your queries, reach me in Telegram or social network, Success Sampath or Sampath Thiruvengatam. Use my referral code SUCCESS to avail 10% discount. I strongly, heavily recommend iconic program of UPSC Civil Services Examination. Welcoming you to Unacademy once again. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you. Thank you for your valuable time. I hope I added value for your understanding. Thank you so much.